Welcome to the Heartbeat Chronicles, the podcast that delves into the intricate dynamic of love, sex, relationships, lifestyle, journaling, counseling, and therapy, and the messy in between. Get ready to explore the various aspects of life's heartbeat and discover insightful conversations that resonate with you. In today's episode, it's all about something that touches every single one of us: money. Now, I know finances can feel daunting, overwhelming, and, let's face it, even taboo to talk about sometimes. But here's the thing. Financial wellness is so much more than just paying bills and saving money. It's about creating a foundation for peace of mind, personal growth, and freedom to pursue the life you truly want. And if the idea of setting financial goals feels intimidating, don't worry, I've been there too. I'll be sharing insights from my own journey, from overcoming debt to figuring out how to balance financial responsibilities while still enjoying life. So, grab your notebook, your favorite cup of tea, or even your budgeting app, because today we're diving into how you can achieve financial freedom in 2025. Are you ready to start this journey with me? Let's do this. Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another heartfelt episode of Heartbeat Chronicles. I'm Riley Mitchell, and I couldn't be more excited to be here with you today for episode 3 of our 3rd season. For those joining us for the first time, let me be the first to welcome you to our amazing community of soulful ambassadors. And you might be wondering, what exactly is a soulful ambassador? Well, it's simple. If you're here seeking growth, embracing authenticity, and ready to dive deep into life's most meaningful conversations, then congratulations, you're already one of us. Each one of you brings your unique energy and perspective to our growing family, and that's what makes this journey so special. You know, when we talk about wellness, we often think about physical health, mental health, maybe even spiritual health. But there's another crucial piece of the puzzle that we sometimes overlook: financial wellness. It's fascinating how our relationship with money can have such a profound impact on our peace of mind. Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you really sat down and reflected on your spending? Not just checking your bank balance, but truly understanding where your money goes and what it brings to your life. I want you to ask yourself 2 simple but powerful questions. What did I spend the most money on in the past month? And more importantly, what purchases actually brought the most value to my life? Sometimes we're surprised to discover that our biggest expenses aren't always aligned with what truly matters to us. That morning coffee ritual might bring you more joy than that impulse buy that's still sitting in its box. Or maybe that gym membership you rarely use is taking away from your ability to invest in something that could really move the needle in your life. Financial wellness isn't about having the most money or never treating yourself. It's about creating a harmonious relationship between your resources and your values, between what you spend and what truly enriches your life. When we achieve this balance, it's amazing how other aspects of our lives begin to fall into place. I want to share something personal with you today, because I believe there's power in vulnerability when it comes to money talk. Last year, I found myself drowning in debt. We're talking credit cards maxed out, student loans looming, and that horrible sinking feeling every time I checked my bank account. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, wondering how I'd ever dig myself out of this hole. You know what's funny? I used to be embarrassed about this part of my story, but now I realize that these struggles taught me some of the most valuable lessons of my life. The turning point wasn't when I made more money. It was when I finally faced my financial reality head on. No more hiding from bank statements or making minimum payments while hoping for a miracle. I started small, really small. First, I laid out every single debt on a spreadsheet, scary, but necessary. Then I looked at my spending with brutal honesty. Those little expenses I'd been justifying, they weren't so little when added up. The subscription services I barely used, the impulse purchases that gave me a moment's joy but weeks of stress, they all had to go. Let me tell you about the practical steps that actually worked. I started using cash for discretionary spending because there's something about physically handling money that makes you think twice. I picked up extra freelance work and put every single extra dollar toward my smallest debt. The first time I paid off my first apartment completely, I literally danced around my apartment. It wasn't much in the grand scheme of things, but it proved to me that change was possible. The emotional journey was just as important as the practical steps. I had to learn that saying no to certain things wasn't about deprivation. It was about saying yes to my future self. I started seeing my debt payoff journey as an act of self-care rather than punishment. Every payment became a promise to myself, a step toward the freedom I desperately wanted. Let me break down the snowball method that changed everything for me, and honestly, it's way simpler than it sounds. You start with your smallest debt, throw every extra penny at it while making minimum payments on everything else. It's like rolling a tiny snowball down a hill. It starts small but picks up momentum as it goes. Here's what it actually looked like in real life. I had 5 debts and that student loan hanging over my head. Instead of spreading my extra money thin, trying to tackle everything at once, I zeroed in on that smallest debt. Every time I got paid, I'd immediately set aside my debt fighting money before I could talk myself into spending it on something else. Learning to say no, that was the real game changer. It's funny how we don't realize how many unnecessary expenses we say yes to until we really start paying attention. Those daily coffee runs, the impulse purchases during late night Amazon scrolling, the I deserve this shopping trips after a rough day at work, they all had to go. But here's the thing about saying no. It gets easier when you have a bigger yes in mind. Every time I wanted to cave and buy something I didn't need, I'd remind myself of how good it felt to see those debt numbers going down. I started asking myself, would I rather have this thing right now, or would I rather be debt-free sooner? I created what I call my pause protocol, waiting 48 hours before making any non-essential purchase over $50. Most of the time, that urge to buy would pass, and I'd redirect that money to my debt payoff. When I did spend, it was because I'd thought it through and decided it was truly worth it. The snowball method isn't just about numbers. It's about building confidence and momentum. Each small win fuels the next one. When I finally paid off that first debt, it gave me the push I needed to tackle the next one. And let me tell you, watching those balances drop to zero one by one is absolutely addictive in the best possible way. You know what's amazing about reaching those big financial milestones? It's not just about the numbers in your bank account. It's about the incredible sense of peace and possibility that comes with them. Building my first emergency fund was honestly one of the most empowering things I've ever done. Starting with just $50 a month, then gradually increasing it, watching that safety net grow felt like finally being able to take a deep breath. Remember how I mentioned those sleepless nights? They started disappearing once I had that cushion. When my car needed unexpected repairs, instead of panicking or reaching for a credit card, I had the money ready. That feeling of being prepared instead of scared? Absolutely priceless. Then there was saving for my dream projects. I had this idea for starting a small side business, something I'd been dreaming about for years, but never thought I could afford. Once I got serious about saving, I started putting aside a little bit each month in what I called my dream fund. Every time I added to it, I felt like I was voting for my future self. What really surprised me was how my relationship with money changed during this process. It stopped being this scary, stressful thing and became more like a trusted partner in building the life I wanted. I started celebrating the small wins, the first $50 saved, paying cash for something instead of charging it, watching my investment account grow even if it was just by a few dollars. The best part? These milestones weren't just about money. Each one taught me something about myself, my resilience, my ability to stick to a plan, my power to turn dreams into reality. When I finally hit my 6-month emergency fund goal, I realized I wasn't just building financial security. I was building confidence in every area of my life. Let's talk about how financial freedom really opens doors in ways you might not expect. When you're not constantly worried about money, it's like this huge weight lifts off your shoulders, and suddenly you can think clearly about what you actually want from life. I've seen it in my own life and in the lives of so many others. When you get your finances in order, everything else starts falling into place. You sleep better at night, your relationships improve because you're not bringing money stress into every conversation, and you actually have the mental space to focus on growing as a person. Think about it. When was the last time you turned down an opportunity because you were worried about money? Maybe it was a course that could have advanced your career, or a business idea you were too scared to pursue. Financial freedom gives you the confidence to say yes to these opportunities. It's like having a safety net that lets you take those calculated risks that lead to real growth. And let's talk about relationships for a moment. Money problems are one of the biggest sources of stress in relationships, whether with partners, family, or friends. When you're financially stable, you can focus on building deeper connections instead of arguing about bills or feeling guilty about spending time together. The really beautiful thing about financial freedom is how it changes your mindset. You stop operating from a place of fear and scarcity and start thinking in terms of possibilities and abundance. You're not just surviving anymore. You're planning, dreaming, and creating the life you want. Remember, this journey isn't just about reaching a certain number in your bank account. It's about creating a foundation that supports your whole life, your dreams, your relationships, your personal growth, and your peace of mind. When you invest in your financial wellness, you're really investing in yourself and your future happiness. You know that feeling when you look back at your bank statements and think, where did all my money go? Well, today we're going to dive into something really important, your financial journey through 2024. Because let's face it, understanding where we've been is the secret sauce to figuring out where we're headed. Think of this like looking through your camera roll from last year. Just like those photos tell the story of your adventures and maybe a few questionable fashion choices, your spending habits tell an equally fascinating tale about your priorities and decisions. And trust me, some of those financial selfies might make you cringe a bit, but that's exactly why this reflection is so valuable. So grab a cozy drink, maybe pull up your banking app, and let's take an honest look at how you handled your money in 2024. Because the choices you made last year, they're the building blocks for your financial future, and I'm here to help you turn those insights into your secret weapon for smarter money moves ahead. Let's dig into those bank statements and credit card bills from 2024. Pull them up if you can, because we're about to do some financial detective work that could seriously change your money game. Don't worry, this isn't about judgment. It's about understanding your relationship with money. First, let's look at your biggest spending categories. Was it dining out, shopping, entertainment, housing? For most of us, these patterns tell an interesting story. Maybe you spent more on takeout than you realized, or perhaps those monthly subscriptions really added up. Whatever you discover, remember, every dollar you spent was a choice that reflected what you valued at that moment. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. For each major spending category, ask yourself, did this spending truly make me happy? Did it align with what matters most to me? Some expenses might surprise you. That daily coffee shop run might have been less about the coffee and more about the morning ritual that helped you start your day right. Or maybe those seemingly frivolous online shopping sprees were actually stress relief during tough times. Take a moment to really sit with these revelations. Which expenses brought genuine value to your life? Which ones left you feeling empty or regretful? This isn't about beating yourself up over past choices. It's about understanding what truly enriches your life and what's just draining your wallet. Remember, money is simply a tool to help you live the life you want. Sometimes we forget that and fall into spending habits that don't actually serve us. By identifying which expenses brought real satisfaction and which ones didn't, you're already taking the first step toward more intentional spending in the future. You know, I had a pretty eye-opening moment with my spending habits last year. I used to be that person who could rationalize just about any purchase. It's only $20, I'd tell myself, or I worked hard this week, I deserve this. Those little spending moments were my kryptonite, and they were everywhere. A cute shirt here, a new gadget there, random stuff I'd spot while browsing online during lunch breaks. The wake-up call came when I tallied up all these small purchases from just 1 month. I nearly fell out of my chair. These supposedly tiny expenses added up to over $400. That's when I knew something had to change, and that's how I came up with my pause and reflect rule. The results of this little rule were pretty incredible. By the end of the first month, I had saved around $300 just by questioning my impulse purchases. But the best part wasn't even the money. It was feeling like I was finally in control of my spending instead of letting my spending control me. Every time I walked away from an unnecessary purchase, I felt this little surge of victory. It was like finally being the boss of my own wallet, you know what I mean? Let me tell you about another game changer in my financial journey, meal planning. Now, I used to be the queen of takeout and food delivery apps. 3, sometimes 4 times a week, I'd be scrolling through options on my phone, watching those delivery fees and tips add up. I was easily spending $300 a month just on takeout, not counting my regular grocery runs that often went to waste. Then I decided to give meal planning a real shot. I started simple, just planning out 3 days at a time. I'd make a shopping list based on actual recipes I wanted to try, not just randomly throwing things in my cart hoping inspiration would strike later. You know what happened? My grocery bills dropped from about $400 to $250 a month, and my takeout spending, it practically disappeared. But here's what really surprised me. The benefits went way beyond my bank account. Those Sunday afternoons I spend meal prepping have become this weird kind of stress relief. There's something really satisfying about getting all your ingredients lined up, chopping vegetables, and filling your fridge with ready-to-go meals. Plus, I'm actually eating better food now. No more 9 p.m. panic ordering pizza because I'm too tired to figure out dinner. The best part is knowing exactly what's going into my meals. I've discovered I actually enjoy cooking. Who knew? And those containers of prepped food in my fridge? They're like having my own personal restaurant, except the food is healthier, cheaper, and exactly how I like it. Instead of spending $15 on a sad desk salad, I'm bringing these amazing grain bowls that probably cost about $3 to make. Even my energy levels have improved. No more afternoon crashes from heavy takeout lunches. And let's be honest, there's this awesome feeling of having your life together when you open your fridge and see all those prepared meals looking back at you. You know what's funny? I used to think I was pretty good with money because I'd save whatever was left at the end of the month. Spoiler alert, there was rarely anything left to save. That's when I discovered the magic of automation, and it completely transformed how I handle my finances. Here's what I did. Instead of treating savings as an afterthought, I made it the first thing that happens when my paycheck hits my account. I set up an automatic transfer of 20% of my income to go straight into my savings account. It's like the money never existed in my checking account in the first place. And you know what? I adapted to living on the remaining 80% surprisingly quickly. Think about it like this. When you have to manually transfer money to savings, you're constantly fighting against yourself. Should I save this $100 or buy those concert tickets? Should I put away money for emergencies or get that new gadget? By automating, you completely bypass that mental wrestling match. The decision is already made for you. The real game changer was realizing I could automate pretty much everything. Bills, utilities, subscriptions, they all get paid automatically now. I even set up separate automated transfers for different goals: vacation fund, emergency savings, and long-term investments. It's like having a personal financial assistant who never takes a day off and never gives in to impulse purchases. And here's the best part. Once you set it up, you can literally forget about it. No more Sunday nights paying bills, no more guilty feelings about not saving enough. The system just works silently in the background while you get on with your life. It's basically like putting your money on autopilot, and let me tell you, the peace of mind is absolutely priceless. Now, as we look ahead, let's turn these financial insights into action. Take a moment to pull out your phone or grab a notebook. I want you to write down 3 money habits that worked well for you last year, and 3 that you know deep down need to change. Be honest with yourself. This is your financial journey, and every small step counts. Remember those impulse purchases we talked about? Maybe for you, it's the daily coffee runs or the online shopping sprees. Whatever your spending triggers are, identifying them is half the battle. The other half? Creating simple, doable strategies to overcome them. Think about setting up one new positive financial habit each month. Start small. Maybe January is your month to track every single expense, or February is when you finally set up that automated savings transfer we discussed. Breaking it down into manageable steps makes it feel less overwhelming and more achievable. The truth is, building better money habits isn't about perfection. It's about progress. You don't need to transform your entire financial life overnight. Focus on making small, consistent improvements and trust that they'll compound over time. Your future self will thank you for every smart money decision you make today. So here's my challenge to you. Choose just one financial habit to change this week. Just one. Make it specific, make it achievable, and most importantly, make it happen. You've got this, and your financial future is worth every ounce of effort you put into it today. Can you believe we're already talking about financial freedom in 2025? I know what you're thinking. Another year, another set of money goals. But stick with me because this year is going to be different. Let's be real. Whether you're drowning in student loans, dreaming of buying your first home, or just tired of living paycheck to paycheck, financial freedom isn't just a buzzword. It's about having the power to make choices in life without money holding you back. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through some practical, no-nonsense steps that'll help you take control of your finances. We'll cover everything from creating a budget that actually works and doesn't make you miserable, to smart investing that won't give you a headache. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll have a clear roadmap to make 2025 your breakthrough year for financial freedom. Let's dive into the foundation of your financial freedom journey, budgeting. Now, I know what you're thinking. Budgeting, how boring. But here's the thing. A budget isn't a straitjacket. It's more like a GPS for your money. And trust me, it can be surprisingly fun when you do it right. First things first, let's talk about creating a budget that actually works. Forget about those complicated spreadsheets that make your head spin. Start with something simple. Track your spending for a month. Every coffee, every impulse, Amazon purchase, everything. You might be shocked to discover where your money's really going. I know I was when I found out I was spending more on takeout than on groceries. Now, there are some amazing tools that make budgeting almost painless. You've probably heard of apps like YNAB, You Need a Budget, or Mint. These aren't just fancy expense trackers. They're like having a financial advisor in your pocket. Mint automatically categorizes your spending and sends you notifications when you're about to blow your budget on another pair of shoes you don't need. YNAB, on the other hand, helps you give every dollar a job, which is perfect if you're serious about reaching those financial goals. But here's the real secret to successful budgeting. It's all about balance. You don't have to give up everything you love. The key is prioritizing your needs while leaving room for the things that bring you joy. Let's be honest, if your budget doesn't include some fun money, you're probably not going to stick to it. Think of it this way. Your essential expenses like rent, utilities, and groceries are like the vegetables of your financial diet. You need them to survive. But you also need some dessert. Maybe that's your monthly Netflix subscription or your weekend brunch tradition. The trick is finding the right portion sizes. Here's a practical tip. Try the 50-30-20 rule. Put 50% of your income toward needs, 30% toward wants, and 20% toward savings and debt payoff. This way, you're taking care of business while still maintaining your quality of life. And remember, your budget should be as unique as you are. What works for your friend might not work for you, and that's totally okay. Let's talk about setting smart financial goals that actually stick. You know, the kind that don't fizzle out by February. I've learned that the difference between a dream and a goal is having a solid plan. And that's exactly what SMART goals give us. Let me break this down with a real example that might hit home. Instead of saying, I want to save more money, which is about as specific as saying you want to get somewhere on a road trip, try this. I'm going to save $5,000 by December 2025 for a down payment on a car. Now that's something we can work with. The M in SMART is for measurable. And this is where it gets interesting. Think of it like a video game where you can see your progress bar moving up. With our $5,000 goal, you'd need to save about $208 each month. That's your score to beat. When you break it down like that, it suddenly feels way more doable, right? Speaking of doable, let's talk about the A for achievable. If you're making $3,000 a month and trying to save $2,500 of it while paying rent in New York City, well, something's got to give. Your goals need to play nice with reality. Look at your current income and expenses and be honest about what you can actually set aside. The R for relevant is crucial because it's about making sure your goals actually matter to you. Maybe you don't really want that new car. Perhaps what you really want is to start a small business. Your goals should light a fire in your belly, not feel like someone else's dream. Time-bound is the final piece of the puzzle, and it's a game changer. When you set a deadline, you're essentially making an appointment with your future self. By December 2025 is so much more powerful than someday. It creates urgency and helps you plan backwards. If you need $5,000 in 24 months, that's $208 monthly, or about $7 a day. Here's a pro tip. Write your goals down and break them into quarterly milestones. Want to save that $5,000? Great. Aim for $625 every 3 months. It's like having checkpoints in a marathon instead of just focusing on the finish line. And celebrate those milestones. Each one is proof that you're not just dreaming, you're doing. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, debt. You know, that weight that sits on your shoulders and somehow feels heavier at 3 a.m. when you're trying to sleep. But here's the good news. There's a way out. and I'm going to show you exactly how to crush it. First up, let's talk about the debt snowball method. Think of it like building a snowman. You start with a tiny snowball and roll it until it gets bigger and bigger. You list all your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of interest rates. Then, while making minimum payments on everything else, you throw every extra dollar at that smallest debt. When that's paid off, you take that payment and add it to the next smallest debt. Before you know it, you're rolling. Now, for my math nerds out there, there's also the debt avalanche method. Instead of targeting the smallest balance, you go after the highest interest rate first. It makes perfect mathematical sense. You'll save more money in the long run. But here's the thing. Personal finance is just as much about psychology as it is about numbers. I remember talking to Sarah, one of my friends, who had $43,000 in debt spread across credit cards, student loans, and a car payment. She tried the avalanche method, but felt stuck. When she switched to the snowball method and paid off her first credit card with a $2,000 balance, something clicked. That win gave her the momentum to tackle everything else. 2 years later, she was debt-free and couldn't stop smiling when she told me her story. Let's talk about what being debt-free actually feels like, because it's more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. Imagine walking into your job knowing you're there because you want to be, not because you have to make payments. Imagine checking your mail without dreading another bill. That's the kind of freedom we're talking about. When you're debt-free, you're not just gaining control of your money, you're gaining control of your life. The journey might feel slow at first, but remember, you didn't get into debt overnight, and you won't get out of it overnight either. But every payment you make is a step toward freedom, and that's worth celebrating. You know what keeps me up at night? Not having a safety net. And I'm betting I'm not alone here. Let's talk about something that's absolutely crucial for your financial peace of mind. Your emergency fund. Think of it as your financial umbrella for those unexpected rainy days. Here's the deal. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when we least expect them. Your car decides to break down, your water heater gives up, or maybe your company announces unexpected layoffs. That's exactly why you need 3 to 6 months of expenses safely tucked away. Now, I know what you're thinking. 3 to 6 months of expenses sounds like a mountain of money. But here's the secret. You don't have to build it overnight. Start with just $1,000 as your starter emergency fund. That's enough to handle most minor emergencies without reaching for your credit card. Once you've got that, aim for 1 month of expenses, then 2, and keep building from there. Let's get practical about how to actually build this fund. First, take a look at your monthly expenses. And I mean really look at them. We're talking about essential expenses here: housing, utilities, food, insurance, minimum debt payments. Now, set up an automatic transfer to a separate savings account the day after your paycheck hits. Even if it's just $50 or $100 a month, that automatic transfer is your best friend. Speaking of where to keep your emergency fund, you want it to be accessible, but not too accessible. A high-yield savings account at a different bank from your checking account is perfect. You'll earn a bit of interest, and it'll be just hard enough to access that you won't be tempted to dip into it for non-emergencies. Here's a pro tip that changed my life. Treat your emergency fund contributions like a bill. Just like you wouldn't skip your rent or utility payment, make your emergency fund non-negotiable. And whenever you get extra money, tax refunds, bonuses, side hustle income, throw at least half of it into your emergency fund until you hit your goal. Remember, having an emergency fund isn't just about the money. It's about sleeping better at night, knowing you can handle whatever life throws your way. It's about being able to take care of your family when things get tough. It's about choices and freedom instead of panic and desperation. Let's dive into investing, and I promise to keep this simple and painless. You know how everyone makes investing sound like you need a PhD in finance? Well, that's just not true. Think of investing like planting a money tree. The earlier you plant it, the more time it has to grow. Let me introduce you to your new best friend, index funds. These are like buying a tiny piece of hundreds of companies all at once. Instead of trying to guess which company will be the next big thing, you're basically saying, I'll have a little bit of everything, please. The best part? Index funds typically have super low fees, which means more money stays in your pocket. Now, if you want investing to be even easier, say hello to robo-advisors. These are like having a smart robot managing your money 24/7. You just answer some questions about your goals and risk tolerance, deposit your money, and the robo-advisor does all the heavy lifting. Companies like Betterment or Wealthfront Make investing as easy as ordering takeout. Let's talk about the real magic of investing: compound interest. Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, and he was on to something. Here's a mind-blowing example. If you invest just $200 monthly starting at age 25, assuming a 7% average annual return, you'll have about $525,000 by age 65. But wait just 5 years to start, and that number drops to $365,000. Those 5 years cost you $160,000. That's the power of compound interest. Your money makes money, which then makes more money. Think of compound interest like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's small and grows slowly, but as it picks up more snow, it gets bigger faster and faster. That's exactly what your money does when you invest it. It builds upon itself, growing larger and larger over time. Here's what I want you to do. Start small if you need to, but start now. Many index funds and robo-advisors let you begin with as little as $50 a month. If your employer offers a 401k with matching contributions, that's free money, take it. If not, open an IRA, individual retirement account, and set up automatic monthly investments. The key is to make it automatic so you never have to think about it. Remember, investing isn't about getting rich quick. It's about getting rich slowly and steadily. You don't need to watch the stock market every day or understand complex trading strategies. Just keep it simple, stay consistent, and let time do the heavy lifting for you. All right, let's wrap up everything we've covered today on your journey to financial freedom in 2025. You know what I love most about all these strategies? They're totally doable, no matter where you're starting from. Think of it like building a house. We laid the foundation with a solid budget, your roadmap for where every dollar should go. Then we talked about setting those SMART goals, making sure they're not just dreams, but achievable targets with clear deadlines. Remember, saving that $5,000 by December 2025 starts with putting away a little bit each month. Getting rid of debt? That's like lifting a weight off your shoulders. Whether you choose the snowball or avalanche method, the key is to start tackling those balances today. And don't forget about building that emergency fund, your financial safety net that helps you sleep better at night. Finally, we simplified investing. No fancy degrees required, just consistent contributions to index funds or through robo-advisors, letting compound interest work its magic over time. Here's what I want you to do right now. Pick just one thing we talked about today and take action. Maybe it's downloading a budgeting app, setting up an automatic transfer for your emergency fund, or opening that investment account. The journey to financial freedom starts with a single step, and there's no better time to take that step than right now. You've got this, and future, you will be so grateful you started today. Here's the thing. Getting smart with money doesn't mean saying goodbye to everything you love or living like a hermit. I'm here to share some practical, down-to-earth tips that won't require you to give up your social life or start living off rice and beans. Think of it more like giving your wallet a friendly high five rather than putting it in timeout. Trust me, once you discover how simple and even fun saving money can be, you'll wonder why nobody told you about these tricks sooner. So let's dive into some game-changing strategies that'll help you keep more cash in your pocket while still living your best life. Let's talk about frugal living. And before you roll your eyes, thinking it's all about clipping coupons and eating instant noodles, hear me out. I've discovered that being frugal can actually be incredibly fun and satisfying. It's like playing a game where you're constantly finding creative ways to win at life while spending less. Take meal planning, for instance. I used to think it was boring until I turned it into my own personal chopped challenge. Every Sunday, I look at what's on sale at the grocery store and plan my meals around those deals. Not only has this cut my grocery bill in half, but I've also become a way better cook. Plus, there's something incredibly satisfying about opening your fridge and actually knowing what you're going to make instead of staring blankly at random ingredients. Speaking of satisfaction, let's talk DIY projects. Last month, I needed a new coffee table, and instead of dropping $300 at a furniture store, I decided to make one myself. Yes, there was a moment when I thought I might have made a huge mistake. Picture me surrounded by wood, screws, and a very confused look on my face. But you know what? After some YouTube tutorials and only minor injuries to my pride, I created something unique that I'm actually proud of, and it cost less than $50. And here's a fun one. I started having swap parties with friends. Instead of everyone buying new clothes or home decor, we get together, bring items we're tired of, add some snacks and wine, and suddenly it's like shopping in each other's closets for free. It's not just about saving money, it's about creating memories and having a blast while doing it. The secret to making frugal living enjoyable is to approach it with creativity and a sense of adventure. Think of it as a treasure hunt where the prize is both saving money and discovering new skills you never knew you had. Whether it's learning to make your own kombucha, mine exploded once, but that's a story for another day, or turning old pallets into garden furniture, there's something incredibly fulfilling about creating value with your own hands. You know what's amazing? Most of us are literally throwing money away every month without even realizing it. I had this eye-opening moment last year when I finally sat down and looked at my bank statement. Talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for 3 different streaming services I barely used, and don't even get me started on that meditation app I downloaded during my Zen phase that lasted approximately 3 days. Here's what I did. I made myself a cup of coffee, opened my laptop, and played what I like to call Subscription Survivor. The rules were simple. If I hadn't used it in the last month, it got voted off the island. By the end of my audit, I'd cut $87 in monthly subscriptions. That's over $1,000 a year, folks. Just imagine what you could do with an extra grand. That's a pretty nice vacation, or in my case, a lot of tacos. But the real game changer? Learning to negotiate bills. I used to think those rates were set in stone until my internet bill suddenly jumped up $40 a month. I called my provider, ready to cancel, and suddenly they found a promotion that cut my bill back down. The key is doing your homework. I always check competitors' rates before calling, and I'm not afraid to mention them. Remember, the worst anyone can say is no. And trust me, it's worth those few minutes of slightly awkward conversation when you see the savings add up. Think of it this way. You're essentially earning hundreds of dollars per hour during these negotiations. Not bad for a few phone calls in your pajamas, right? Let's talk about something that took me way too long to learn. Sometimes spending more money actually saves you money in the long run. I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out on this one. Remember when I bought those $20 shoes because they were such a great deal? Well, they fell apart after 2 months, and I ended up buying 3 more pairs that year. Meanwhile, my friend who spent $120 on one quality pair is still wearing hers a year later. Sometimes being cheap ends up being expensive. This principle applies to so many things. Take kitchen tools, for example. I used to go through non-stick pans like they were disposable. You know, the ones that start sticking after a few months no matter what you do. Finally bit the bullet and invested in a good cast iron skillet. Yes, it cost me $45, but that was 3 years ago, and it's still going strong. Plus, it makes everything taste better. Bonus! One of my favorite examples is my coffee maker. I used to buy those $25 ones from the discount store every 6 months when they'd inevitably break. Then I invested in a quality machine for $150. It's been 4 years and it's still making perfect coffee every morning. Quick math, I would have gone through 8 cheap coffee makers by now, spending $200, not to mention all the frustration of dealing with broken appliances. And let's talk about clothes. I used to be the queen of fast fashion, always chasing those $10 t-shirt deals. But here's the thing. When you're washing and replacing cheap clothes every few months, you're not really saving money. I started investing in better quality basics, and yes, that $40 t-shirt seemed expensive, but it's outlasted 6 of its cheaper cousins and still looks great. Here's my rule of thumb now. If it's something I use daily, something that touches my skin, or something that affects my comfort or health, I'm willing to spend more upfront for quality. Whether it's shoes, bedding, or kitchen tools, buying quality has actually helped me save money and reduce the stress of constantly replacing things that break. You know what? Let me share some of my favorite money-saving hacks that I've discovered through trial, error, and occasionally making a complete fool of myself. Trust me, some of these stories are going to make you feel much better about your own financial mishaps. First up, my legendary freezer experiment. I got this brilliant idea to buy everything in bulk and freeze it. Everything. I'm talking about milk, cheese, bread, even eggs. Pro tip, don't freeze eggs in their shells. That cleanup was memorable. But you know what? The basic concept was solid. I now save about $100 a month by properly freezing bulk purchases of meat when it's on sale and seasonal produce at its peak. Here's another winner. I started playing what I call the wait 72 inches game. Whenever I want to buy something non-essential, I wait 72 hours before purchasing. It's amazing how many must-have items suddenly become, meh, I can live without it after 3 days. Though I'll admit, I once applied this rule to concert tickets and, well, let's just say sometimes waiting doesn't pay off. One of my absolute favorite hacks is what I call the swap don't shop strategy. Here's a genius hack that actually worked. I started using cashback apps and credit card rewards strategically. I mapped out which card gives the best rewards for groceries, gas, and other categories. Though I should mention, my initial spreadsheet system was so complicated I needed a PhD to decipher it. I've simplified things since then. And my personal favorite, I learned basic home through online tutorials. Yes, there was that one disaster with a leaky faucet that turned into an impromptu indoor water park. But hey, learning curve. Now I save hundreds on simple repairs and maintenance tasks. Plus, there's something incredibly satisfying about fixing things yourself, even if it takes 3 tries and a few colorful words to get it right. Wow, what a journey we've been on together. Let's recap what we've learned about making our money work smarter for us. From embracing the art of frugal living through meal planning and DIY projects, to becoming subscription ninjas who aren't afraid to negotiate those bills, we've covered a lot of ground. Remember how we talked about making smart investments in quality items? It's not about being cheap. It's about being strategic with our spending. And those personal money-saving hacks we discussed? They're proof that saving money doesn't have to be a boring, restrictive experience. Sometimes it's as simple as waiting 72 hours before making a purchase or organizing a fun swap party with friends. Here's my challenge to you. Pick just one thing we've discussed today and try it out this week. Maybe start with a subscription audit or try meal planning for just 3 days. Keep it simple, keep it doable, and most importantly, keep it fun. Because at the end of the day, saving money isn't about depriving yourself. It's about making thoughtful choices that add up to big rewards. Remember, every financial victory, no matter how small, is worth celebrating. So go ahead, start your money-saving adventure today. Trust me, your future self will thank you, and you might even have some laughs along the way. Happy saving, soulful ambassadors. Let's talk about something we all deal with, but often don't want to discuss. Our relationship with money. You know that feeling in your gut when you check your bank account? Or that voice in your head that says you're not doing enough with your finances? Well, today we're going to tackle those feelings head on and explore how to develop a healthier money mindset. Money isn't just about numbers in a bank account or spreadsheets. It's deeply emotional and personal. The way we think about money affects everything from our daily coffee choices to our biggest life decisions. And here's the thing. No one taught most of us how to have a healthy relationship with our finances. We're going to dive into some game-changing perspectives on money. We'll talk about breaking free from financial shame, shifting from scarcity to abundance thinking, and learning to celebrate our money wins, no matter how small. Think of this as your permission slip to be more open, more forgiving, and more intentional with your financial journey. Let's talk about something that probably feels familiar. That knot in your stomach when you've made a money mistake. Or that flush of embarrassment when someone asks about your financial situation. I get it, and you're not alone. Financial shame is like this heavy backpack we carry around, and honestly, it's time to take it off. I'll never forget my own wake-up call. There I was, hiding my credit card statements from myself, literally putting them unopened in a drawer because I couldn't face the reality of my spending. Every time I'd walk past that drawer, I'd feel this wave of shame wash over me. It's funny how we think we're the only ones going through these situations, right? But here's what I've learned. Shame thrives in silence and isolation. The moment we start talking about our money struggles, that shame starts losing its power. Think about it. How many times have you had a conversation about money troubles with a friend, only to hear them say, "Oh my gosh, me too"? It's like this collective sigh of relief when we realize we're not the only ones figuring things out. Financial shame does something really sneaky to our decision-making. When we're wrapped up in feeling bad about money, we tend to make choices from a place of panic or avoidance. Maybe we ignore our bank statements altogether, or we make impulse purchases to feel better in the moment. I used to do this thing where I'd avoid checking my account balance, which only made everything so much worse. The truth is, making mistakes with money doesn't make you bad with money. It makes you human. Every financial expert you admire has their own story of money mistakes. The difference is they use those mistakes as stepping stones rather than letting them become roadblocks. That overdraft fee? It's not a moral failing. It's a learning opportunity. That credit card debt? It's not a character flaw. It's a chapter in your story, not the whole book. Let me share something that changed everything for me. When I finally opened those credit card statements and faced my situation head on, it wasn't nearly as scary as the monster I'd built up in my mind. Sure, it wasn't great, but it was manageable, and more importantly, facing it gave me back my power to make changes. You know what's fascinating? Money is something we all deal with every single day, yet somehow it's become this topic we're supposed to whisper about behind closed doors. It's like this unwritten rule that talking about money is either bragging or complaining. There's no in between. But let's be real. How are we supposed to learn and grow if we can't even have an honest conversation about it? Think about it. We'll happily chat about our workout routines, share recipes, even discuss relationship advice. But the moment money comes up, everyone gets weirdly quiet. I used to be exactly the same way until I realized that this silence wasn't helping anyone. In fact, it was keeping all of us stuck in the same patterns, making the same mistakes, because nobody was sharing what they'd learned. Here's what I found works really well when opening up these conversations. Instead of diving straight into numbers, start with experiences. For example, you might say something like, I've been trying to get better at managing my finances lately. Have you found any helpful apps or tools? Or maybe, I just learned about this interesting saving strategy. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. See how that feels less intimidating than, so, what's your salary? Another great way to break the ice is by sharing your own money wins or lessons learned. Maybe you finally set up an emergency fund, or perhaps you learned a hard lesson about impulse buying. When you're vulnerable first, it gives others permission to open up too. You could say something like, I just paid off one of my credit cards and it felt amazing. It took me longer than I'd like to admit, but I learned so much in the process. Remember, the goal isn't to compare or compete, it's to learn and grow together. Money talks don't have to be heavy or awkward. They can be supportive, enlightening, and even fun. Yes, I said fun. When you frame these conversations as opportunities to share knowledge and support each other's goals, they become much more engaging and less taboo. Let's talk about two very different ways of thinking about money, the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. I used to be the queen of scarcity thinking. I'd look at my bank account and immediately focus on what I didn't have, constantly worrying there wouldn't be enough. Every financial decision felt like life or death, and I'd catch myself saying things like, I can't afford that, or money is always tight, without even thinking about it. But here's where it gets interesting. This way of thinking was actually making my financial situation worse. When you're stuck in scarcity mode, you make decisions from a place of fear. You might grab that limited time offer because you're afraid of missing out, or you might hold on to a toxic job because you're terrified of what might happen if you leave. I've done both. And let me tell you, neither worked out great. Then I learned about the abundance mindset, and it completely changed how I approach money. Instead of focusing on what I lack, I started appreciating what I already had and looking for opportunities to grow. For example, instead of saying, I can't afford that, I switched to, how can I make this happen? This simple shift led me to explore side hustles, learn about investing, and get creative with my resources. Here's a real-world example. When I wanted to start investing, my scarcity mindset initially told me, you don't have enough money to invest, and you'll probably lose it all anyway. But when I shifted to abundance thinking, I asked myself, what small amount could I start with? This led me to discover micro-investing apps, where I could begin with just a few dollars a week. Now, those small, consistent investments are growing into something meaningful. The abundance mindset isn't about pretending money problems don't exist. It's about approaching them with curiosity and creativity rather than fear. It's understanding that there are always more opportunities to earn, learn, and grow. When you start viewing money this way, you begin to notice possibilities you might have missed before, whether it's negotiating a better salary, starting a side business, or finding clever ways to save without feeling deprived. You know, one of the most powerful tools we have in building a healthy relationship with money is actually completely free: gratitude. I know it might sound a bit cheesy, but stick with me here. When was the last time you really appreciated your ability to buy groceries or felt thankful for having a warm place to sleep? These might seem like basic things, but they're actually incredible resources we often take for granted. Let me share a simple exercise that's been game-changing for me. Every morning, I write down 3 financial things I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's as simple as being able to pay my electricity bill on time or having enough in my account for a coffee with a friend. This practice helps me focus on what I have rather than what I'm still working toward. Another powerful exercise is what I call the resource inventory. Take a moment right now, yes, right now, and think about all the resources you have that don't show up in your bank balance. Maybe you have skills you could monetize, a supportive network that could lead to opportunities, or even just a smartphone that connects you to endless learning resources. These are all valuable assets that we often overlook. Here's a practical challenge for you. Start tracking your money wins, no matter how small. Did you resist an impulse purchase? Write it down. Did you find a great deal on something you needed? Celebrate it. Found a quarter on the street? That counts too. Creating this evidence log of positive financial experiences helps train your brain to notice abundance rather than lack. Remember, practicing financial gratitude doesn't mean you stop working toward your goals. Instead, it gives you a stronger foundation to build from. When you appreciate what you have while working toward what you want, you create a positive cycle that actually makes achieving those goals easier and more enjoyable. Plus, you'll find yourself making better financial decisions because you're coming from a place of confidence rather than desperation. Let's talk about financial self-care because, yes, that's absolutely a thing. Just like you might have a skincare routine or a workout regimen, having regular money maintenance practices keeps your financial health in top shape. And trust me, it can actually be enjoyable when you approach it the right way. First up, let's normalize celebrating those financial wins, no matter how small. Did you finally set up that automatic savings transfer you've been putting off? That deserves a happy dance. Maybe you stayed under budget this month, or maybe you just remembered to pack lunch instead of buying it. These are all victories worth acknowledging. When we celebrate these moments, we're actually rewiring our brains to associate positive feelings with good money habits. One of my favorite financial self-care practices is what I call the money date. Once a week, I sit down with my favorite beverage, put on some good music, and spend quality time with my finances. I review my spending, check my progress toward goals, and plan for the week ahead. It's not about punishment or guilt. It's about giving your money the attention it deserves in a way that feels good. Knowledge is another crucial part of financial self-care. Think of it as feeding your money mindset with good nutrition. Maybe that means listening to finance podcasts during your commute, reading a money management book, or taking an online course about investing. The key is finding resources that speak to you in a way that clicks. Don't force yourself to read dense financial textbooks if that's not your style. There are so many engaging ways to learn about money management now. Remember, financial self-care also means setting boundaries. It's okay to say no to things that don't align with your financial goals. It's perfectly fine to skip that expensive group dinner or suggest a budget-friendly alternative. These boundaries aren't limitations. They're acts of self-respect that help you stay aligned with your values and goals. The most important thing about financial self-care is consistency. Just like one green smoothie won't make you healthy, one budget review won't transform your finances. It's about building sustainable habits that you can maintain over time. Start small, be gentle with yourself, and gradually build up your financial wellness routine in a way that feels authentic and maintainable for you. All right, let's wrap up our chat about maintaining a healthy money mindset. Remember, your relationship with money is a journey, not a destination. The key is moving from shame and silence to openness and growth. Start with one small step. Maybe it's having that first money conversation with a friend, setting up a weekly money date with yourself, or simply acknowledging your financial wins, no matter how small. Every positive action builds momentum toward a healthier money mindset. Remember, you can shift from scarcity to abundance thinking by practicing gratitude for what you have while staying open to opportunities for growth. Be kind to yourself, celebrate your progress, and keep learning. Your future self will thank you for the financial self-care habits you're building today. Now go forth and nurture that healthy money mindset. You've got this. You know, it's fascinating how money touches every aspect of our lives, yet we rarely take the time to really reflect on what we want it to do for us. As we wrapped up 2024 and look ahead to 2025, I thought this would be the perfect moment for us to get cozy, grab our favorite warm drink, and have an honest conversation about our financial dreams and goals. But we're not just talking about numbers here. We're talking about creating a life that feels abundant, purposeful, and aligned with our deepest values. When I really sit with the question of what financial freedom means to me, it goes so much deeper than just having a certain amount in my bank account. For me, it's that incredible feeling of taking a deep breath and knowing that my financial situation isn't keeping me up at night. I think sometimes we get caught up in this idea that financial freedom means private jets and luxury vacations, but honestly, it's so much more personal and practical than that. It's about having enough saved up that when an emergency occurs, I don't immediately panic. It's about being able to say yes to a friend's destination wedding without doing mental gymnastics with my budget for months. But beyond just handling the unexpected, financial freedom is about having the power to make choices that align with who we really are. Maybe that's having the flexibility to take a lower paying job that fulfills your soul, or being able to take a sabbatical to write that book you've always dreamed about. It's about creating a life where money serves as a tool for your happiness rather than a source of constant stress. And let's be real, it's not about never worrying about money again. It's about having enough control and stability that money decisions become choices rather than emergencies. That's what true freedom feels like to me. Now, I'd love to hear what financial freedom means to you. Everyone's vision is unique, and that's what makes this conversation so rich and meaningful. Maybe for you, it's about having the flexibility to start your own business, or perhaps it's the ability to help your parents retire comfortably. Whatever it means to you, your perspective matters and could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. I've found that when we share our financial journeys and goals openly, something magical happens. We realize we're not alone in our struggles or our dreams. We find inspiration in each other's stories and gain new perspectives we might never have considered. So I'm inviting you to join this conversation. Take a moment to reflect on what financial freedom truly means to you. What would it feel like? How would it change your daily life, your relationships, your choices? Share your thoughts with our community using #prosperous2025. Let's create a space where we can all learn from and inspire each other as we work toward our own versions of financial freedom. Let's talk about financial goals for 2025, and specifically the ones that I believe will bring genuine peace and joy to our lives. I've been thinking a lot about this, and I've realized that the most meaningful financial goals aren't just about numbers. They're about creating a life that feels secure, purposeful, and yes, even joyful. First on my list is building that rock-solid emergency fund. I'm aiming for 12 months of expenses tucked away safely. It might sound like a lot, but imagine the peace of mind knowing that if life throws you a curveball, and we all know it will, you're prepared. That's not just financial security, that's emotional freedom. Then there's investing consistently. I'm not talking about getting rich quick or making dramatic market plays. I mean those steady, regular contributions that compound over time. It's like planting a garden. You don't expect a harvest overnight, but with consistent care and attention, you create something beautiful and sustaining. But here's what I think many of us forget when setting financial goals: budgeting for joy. Yes, you heard that right. I'm specifically setting aside money for experiences that light up my soul. Maybe it's that cooking class you've always wanted to take, or finally planning that trip to see the Northern Lights. These aren't frivolous expenses. They're investments in your well-being and happiness. When we align our financial goals with what truly matters to us, something amazing happens. Money transforms from being just numbers in an account to becoming a tool for creating the life we dream of. It's not about deprivation or endless saving. It's about making intentional choices that support both our future security and our present happiness. Now let's talk about setting your own financial goals for 2025. Grab a pen and paper or open your notes app, because this is where we make things personal and purposeful. Think about where you want to be this time next year, not just financially, but in your whole life. What would make you feel secure, fulfilled, and excited about your future? Maybe you're dreaming of starting that side business, or finally paying off that credit card debt that's been weighing on your mind. Perhaps you want to save for a down payment on a home or create a travel fund for those adventures you've been putting off. Whatever it is, make sure it resonates with your core values and what truly matters to you. Remember, your financial goals shouldn't feel like punishment or restriction. They should feel like stepping stones to the life you want to create. Take a moment to visualize how achieving these goals would make you feel. Would it give you more freedom to spend time with family, more confidence in your future, more space to pursue your passions? Start by writing down one goal that excites you, something that makes your heart beat a little faster when you think about it. Then, break it down into smaller, manageable steps. If you're aiming to save $5,000 by year end, that might mean setting aside $420 each month. Suddenly, that big goal feels more achievable, doesn't it? And here's the beautiful thing about sharing these goals with our community. When we speak our dreams aloud, they become more real. Plus, you might just inspire someone else to take that first step toward their own financial freedom. We're all in this together, cheering each other on as we grow and prosper. I'm so excited to invite you to join our Prosperous 2025 challenge. Here's what I want you to do. Share just one financial goal that you're committed to achieving in 2025. It doesn't have to be complicated or huge. It just needs to be meaningful to you. Maybe it's saving your first $1,000 emergency fund or finally starting that retirement account you've been thinking about. When you share your goal, use the hashtag #Prosperous2025 on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. I'll be checking these posts regularly, and I can't wait to see what you're working toward. But don't stop there. Take a moment to read through other people's goals and drop some encouragement their way. There's something incredibly powerful about knowing we're not alone on this journey. And while you're at it, I'd love to hear about your biggest financial lessons from 2024. What surprised you? What challenged you? What made you proud? These stories aren't just valuable for you to reflect on. They're golden nuggets of wisdom for our entire community. Sometimes the most powerful insights come from the most unexpected places, and your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Remember, this isn't about comparison or competition. It's about creating a supportive space where we can all grow together, celebrate our wins, big and small, and lift each other up when things get tough. So don't be shy. Your voice and your story matter more than you know. As we wrap up today's conversation about financial freedom and goal setting for 2025, I want you to remember that your journey to financial wellness is uniquely yours. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and that's exactly what makes it beautiful. Whether your vision of financial freedom means having a robust emergency fund, investing for the future, or simply having enough breathing room to enjoy life's little pleasures, it's all valid and worthy of pursuit. I truly believe that when we share our goals and experiences openly, we create a ripple effect of inspiration and growth. So don't keep your financial dreams to yourself. Head over to social media, use our #Prosperous2025 hashtag, and let's build this community of support and encouragement together. Share those powerful lessons from 2024, celebrate your wins, and put your 2025 goals out into the universe. Remember, every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Your financial journey isn't just about the numbers. It's about creating a life that brings you peace, joy, and the freedom to chase your dreams. I can't wait to see what you'll achieve in 2025, and I'll be right here cheering you on every step of the way. I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to all of you amazing, soulful ambassadors. Your engagement, thoughtful comments, and dedication to personal growth truly make this podcast what it is. The way you show up each week, ready to learn and grow, inspires me to keep creating meaningful content for you. As we've discussed financial wellness today, I'm reminded that this journey isn't about overnight success. It's about those small, consistent steps we take each day. Some days might feel challenging and progress might seem slow, but remember that every mindful decision about your finances is moving you forward. Your commitment to bettering yourself financially is something to be proud of, and I'm honored to be part of your journey. Being patient with yourself while staying consistent with your financial goals is key. Just like any other form of self-improvement, financial wellness is a marathon, not a sprint. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep making those conscious choices, and trust that your dedication will lead to the financial freedom you're working toward. For those of you looking to dive deeper into managing your finances and creating lasting change, I've got some amazing book recommendations that have personally transformed my approach to money and habits. First up is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. This book is a game changer if you're serious about taking control of your finances. What I love about Ramsey's approach is how he breaks everything down into manageable steps. He's not just throwing complex financial jargon at you, he's giving you a real, practical roadmap to follow. The success stories in this book are incredibly motivating, and they show that financial freedom isn't just a dream, it's absolutely achievable. To really make these financial strategies stick, I recommend pairing it with Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book will help you understand how to build and maintain the daily habits that support your financial goals. The concepts in this book are perfect for creating those small, consistent actions we talked about earlier. And because money management can sometimes feel overwhelming, I also suggest The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. This book will help you develop the mental clarity and peace needed to make sound financial decisions. It's amazing how much better we handle our finances when we approach them with a calm, mindful perspective. These three books together create a powerful framework. You get the financial strategy, the habit-building tools, and the mindful approach to keep you balanced and focused on your journey to financial wellness. Hey, Soulful Ambassadors! I'm super excited to tell you about our amazing merch store. We've got something for everyone, from cozy hoodies perfect for those morning meditation sessions, to stylish t-shirts that spread positive vibes wherever you go. Our tote bags are perfect for your grocery runs or gym visits, and our travel mugs will keep your favorite drinks warm while you're on the move. Each piece in our collection is designed with you in mind, bringing that same soulful energy you love from our podcast right into your daily life. The quality is amazing, and I personally use these items every day. My morning coffee just tastes better in our Heartbeat Chronicles mug. Finding our merch is super easy. Just click the link in our episode description or head over to Instagram where you'll find us at heartbeat_chronicles. You can also find me personally at _soulful_Riley. The store link is right there in our bio. What I love most about our merch is how it connects our community. When you're wearing your Heartbeat Chronicles hoodie or carrying your tote bag, you're showing the world you're part of something special. You're a soulful ambassador who's committed to living your best life. So go ahead. Treat yourself to something special from our collection. Each purchase supports the podcast and helps us keep creating content that inspires and uplifts you every week. Plus, who doesn't love some fresh, meaningful merch that makes you feel good inside and out? You can find us everywhere you love to consume content. We're active across all major social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, and Threads. Just search for Heartbeat Chronicles Podcast, and you'll find our vibrant community waiting for you. For those who prefer to listen or watch, we've made it super convenient. You can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, and the Pods Network. If you're a podcast enthusiast, we're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, and Pocket Casts. And yes, we're also on Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Overcast, Castro, Castbox, Podfriend, Good Pods, and True Fans. No matter where you are or how you like to tune in, we've made sure there's a way for you to get your weekly dose of soulful living. Our episodes drop every Tuesday at 12 p.m. East African time, like clockwork. And here's a pro tip. Hit that notification button on your preferred platform so you never miss out on new content. Best part? Subscribing is completely free, so you can stay connected with our community without spending a dime. Remember, whether you're commuting, working out, or just relaxing at home, Heartbeat Chronicles is just a click away, ready to bring some soul into your day. Choose whatever platform works best for you. We'll be there, ready to connect and share more soulful moments together. I'm beyond excited to tell you about next week's episode because we're having our first Hey Soulful Riley segment of the year. I've been going through all the questions and dilemmas you sent in before our Christmas break, and let me tell you, we've got some fascinating topics to dive into. Some of these stories are going to shock you, others will be real eye-openers, and I know many of you will be nodding along thinking, wow, I thought I was the only one going through this. That's exactly why this is my absolute favorite segment of the show. It's where we get to connect on such a personal level. You've shared some incredibly honest and vulnerable moments with me through your messages, and I can't wait to address them all. We're talking about real situations, real emotions, and real solutions. Some of these stories might make you laugh. Others might make you think differently about your own experiences. So make sure you don't miss out on all this juicy content coming your way. Trust me, this is going to be one of those episodes where you'll want to grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and just soak it all in. See you next Tuesday for some real talk and genuine connections. As we wrap up today, I want to leave you with something that's been on my mind throughout our conversation about financial wellness. You know, financial freedom isn't about having the biggest bank account or the most expensive things. It's about creating a life that truly reflects who you are and what matters most to you. Think about it. Every financial decision you make is actually a statement about your values and what you believe in. When you choose to save, invest, or spend mindfully, you're not just managing money, you're building the foundation for the life you want to live. Remember, true wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're making choices that align with your deepest values. Whether you're just starting your financial journey or well on your way, trust that every small step you take today is creating the freedom you deserve tomorrow. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep being uniquely, wonderfully you. Your journey to financial wellness is as individual as you are, and that's exactly how it should be. In today's episode, we delved into the importance of financial wellness and how it can be a powerful tool for achieving peace of mind and personal growth. We explored what financial wellness truly means, reflected on 2024's financial lessons, and set our sights on creating a prosperous 2025 through practical strategies like budgeting, debt reduction, and building an emergency fund. We also talked about setting smart financial goals, the benefits of mindful money management, and how cultivating an abundance mindset can open the door to opportunities you might not have seen before. And let's not forget those practical tips: meal planning, reducing unnecessary expenses, and celebrating every financial win, no matter how small. Now it's your turn. Reflect on your financial journey, identify your goals for 2025, and take that first step toward financial freedom. Don't forget to share your goals and lessons with me and the community using the hashtag #prosperous2025. I would love to cheer you on and hear your stories. Thank you for spending your time with me today. I appreciate you, soulful ambassadors, for showing up for yourself and being part of this transformative journey. Remember, financial freedom is not just about the numbers. It's about creating a life that aligns with your values and brings you joy. Until next time, stay mindful, stay intentional, and as always, stay soulful. Bye for now.